Hey, everybody, welcome to another session of Pastor Doug's virtual VIP small group study. And I want to welcome everybody here and also a big thank you to my ministry partner, Doug Piran, for being here to be a part. Again, you got me in a tie, which has loosened. So I have a funeral we're doing this afternoon. And I just want to welcome you here today to talk to you a little bit about your ministry of mercy. Again, I've been in this study on the Beatitudes, the Sermon on the Mount that Jesus Christ gave, and really it's such a detailed message series about how to live a blessed life. And I don't know about you, but for me, I don't think it really challenged me a little bit to try to live a blessed life and thirst for righteousness and try to be a person of mercy and be who God wanted me to be. And it really challenged some of my thinking because we all have opinions. I think it's kind of funny. Sometimes you'll be in a group of people say, "Well, I'll tell you guys, but I wouldn't say this aloud to anybody else," and makes you kind of wonder what's going on in your head all the time because we all have opinions. It's not always good or positive. Something happens and we have maybe a negative, strong opinion about that, and we have to kind of go through the thoughts of what should we say or how should we say. Doug and I play golf together, and sometimes you don't do so well, and some of the folks often will say way more things than they should in anger and cursing, and even one gentleman we've seen throwing a club one time. And you kind of wonder what goes through the mind if he actually thought about it before he actually did it. One guy I was playing with one time threw a club, got stuck in a tree, and he was so mad, and I'm laughing because I thought it was pretty funny, and he's looking at me like he's going to kill me. And then my other guy said, "Don't laugh at that guy, he's really mad." I thought, well, that's funny, his club's up in the tree, and you're one club short now for the rest of the golf round, I guess. But anyway, so we're making judgments and choices all the time. And one of the things that we're talking about here is having a ministry of mercy, and all based on what Jesus Christ told us to do. You know, and one of the things he talked about was righteousness and how to be righteous. And I think that's a, no pun intended, a really tall order when we're asked to be righteous.
It is. It is. And being tall, a little bit tall, you kind of stand out. So your actions are seen by everybody. You can't just kind of hide in the crowd. So whether you intend to or want to be noticed, you are. And if you're acting like a child, then of course that gets seen. And if you're involved in a ministry or the church, people think, boy, that guy is a Christian and look what he's doing. So behavior is one of those things that we do get judged on, and rightfully so. But your story about the gent who threw a club up into the tree, um, what makes me think about the situation is it's self-inflicted.
Mm-hmm.
He did it to himself. There are enough challenges in life with being in control and disciplined. And then we do things like that. We make it more difficult than we have to. I think that's the way a lot of life goes.
Yeah, yesterday, I got to tell you this. Doug and I played golf together yesterday, and we were on opposite teams. And we're on this one par three. Par three is you should get the ball in the cup in three shots to make par. And so my first shot off the tee goes into the sand trap. So I'm okay in the sand trap. I'm get this out of there. My first shot doesn't come out of the sand trap. It's still in the sand trap. Then the next one, I'm really getting this out of here. I hit it solid. I hit the ball 60 yards, 40 yards over the green on the other side. Now I'm laying three. Long story short, I end up getting a 6 on that hole because they gave me a long putt for a 6. And I actually really literally thought about, how do I react to this? How do I handle this? Was I angry? You better believe I was. At myself. Was I disappointed? Yes, I was. I was very disappointed. But guess what? There's 3 other people in that group watching me, thinking about what might he say, what might he do. Doug knows me well enough. He knew I wasn't happy. I wasn't pleased. Nobody really said anything. Nobody laughed at me. Nobody made a big deal about it. They just kind of said, oh well, we go on to the next hole. But for me, it was a real challenge. How are you going to be? Because I'm presenting myself as a Christian, as a pastor in the world. I have to discipline myself to realize that what I say and what I do matters. It matters to other people.
It does. It does. And you were noticeably upset, but you just walked off and didn't say a word. And that's how you handle those situations. And I think that's very wise.
Were you laughing inside?
I was not laughing. I was disappointed for you because I know how good you typically are out of the sand. But you know, one of the things that we hear about is the statement. I'm probably going to mess up a little bit, but something about when you best to stay silent and let people think you're wise as opposed to open your mouth and proving you're a fool.
Right.
I get that close. So particularly in anger, we'll say things that can prove to the rest of the world that we're being foolish or childish, and best just not to say anything and calm down and then think about what you really need to say.
Well, and I think too, like like your friends, and even showing mercy here is our topic here. You show mercy to people in lots of different walks. When we think about mercy, I think about these, the Red Cross and those that are going out. And so they take care of it, but that's not really what Jesus was talking about here. He's talking about us showing it in our personal lives to the people around us. And we have opportunities. I really think one of the ways we show mercy and grace is in our compliments, how we encourage people, how we help people. This one gentleman that we talked about that throws clubs, Doug and I were playing, and I was his partner the one day. Doug was the partner of the other group, and Doug mentioned to me later, said, I noticed you were telling him, he's screaming and complaining about this. Well, you hit it solid, you just pulled it. I was trying to find some good things to say to him to try to help him think a little bit differently. Did it work?
No,
no, it didn't work.
Keep trying.
But the point is, we keep trying. We keep representing Jesus Christ. I often say to people, and I think this is such a powerful thing. What do you think Jesus Christ would say to you? I have people who feel so guilty about some of their life choices, and sometimes they're coming back to haunt them now as they're later in years. And I did that, and they're so embarrassed. They're so ashamed. I don't want anybody to know this. And I say, what do you think Jesus Christ thinks about that right now? How do you think he feels? Oh, well, I'm forgiven. He's forgiven me. Well, if he's forgiven you, then you need to feel better about it. You need to approach it differently. We need to be righteous and offer mercy to other people as we see them.
Indeed. And as far as forgiveness, we talked about this in men's group recently, that it's not just a question of stopping at forgiveness. God actually forgets our sins. He puts it behind him. So the fact that we keep remembering it and keep dragging up the same old problems, and we drag that burden behind us is our own, again, self-inflicted problem. God forgives us and forgets about us. We need to do the same thing. Learn from it, certainly, but move on.
Is there something to be thought about here in that how we view other people? If there's someone living a Christian life and you have a Christian friend and you know their background and you know their history and you know some things that they have done, and it's embarrassing and it's sad. Do you still remember that? Should you? Why are you holding on to stuff and information about people and judging them when God's already forgiven them and God is forgetting it? God says, hey, I'm moving on. You've asked forgiveness. My son died on the cross for that. Why should we still hold on to those kinds of things? I have people all the time. I just got off on a text message this morning about somebody who's reliving some of the past through a situation that happened, and they're terribly embarrassed about it. And they literally said, I don't think I can face you, Pastor Doug. And I want them to understand that's not how I think. You don't know me very well if you think I'm going to hold these things against you. I'm not the judge. I am not God. I didn't go on the cross like Jesus Christ did. I believe he did all of that so we can have these freedoms in these moments where we say, hey, God's forgiven me. I'm good with it. I need to move on. And that's the way I look at life. How can we go from here? I'm a man of today and tomorrow. We all have past. We all have things that we're embarrassed about. We all have things that we have done in our lives, some that no other person actually knows. And God's forgiven us for some of those things, and he's wiped our slates clean. We need to live that way and think that way. And then not only about ourselves, but then take that forgiveness that we've received, that mercy that we've been given, and share that and give that to other people.
Sure, and specifically in Matthew 18, verse 33, it says, shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had on you? And we think that we're going to, like you mentioned, bring up those memories of past mistakes in other people. Who were we?
Yeah.
We have made mistakes ourselves, maybe the same kinds of mistakes, maybe worse mistakes. So we need to forgive and forget our own mistakes and those of others.
God's put you here for a purpose. God's landed you in Faith Church as part of the faith family for a reason. He has messages and information that he wants to share with you and get to you. And we're trying to do that. Folks, I've been excited about campaigns before, and we're at the campaign time of year where we kind of come together as a church and collectively do a program together. And we're going to be doing a campaign called What on Earth Am I Here For? It's based on Rick Warren's book, what is that book? The Purpose of My Life. Purpose Driven.
He's got so many.
Purpose Driven Life. And it's one of the best-selling books ever, but it really talks about what on earth we're here for. And so we're going to get together as a church, and here's the program. It's pretty neat. I'm going to do a message each week, and then that week, during the week, the small groups are going to be studying that message in depth, getting into some details. For those of you that can only come in via the internet, we're going to have a Zoom course for you that's going to be offered the same way. And so you can share that way. But then we're going to get together in the small groups and meet and discuss those things and really become strong and powerful in understanding what on earth we're here for. And a lot of it is about some disciplines that God wants us to create. This Sunday, I'm going to be doing the pre-campaign message exactly about that, so you understand why this campaign means so much to me and so much to the church, and why it's really important in your personal life. I hope you'll tune in. Thanks a lot, buddy, for being a part.
Pleasure.
Now, I want to push the button here. Show me what I got to push up here.
Right
You
here.
always reach up and do it because of your big, long arms. I'm going to do it. Watch this.